So this is my continuation of my rant about the exposure metering problem that the Nikon D800 has. And what it seems like is also the Nikon D7000, 7100, 750. Seems like it's pretty much a problem with all the other Nikon cameras, is that whenever you change from live view to normal looking through the eyepiece, that you get a different exposure meter reading. Quite a few people have commented and given some great suggestions and some other things that I need to test out on this. So what I've done for this test, I've got this facing an area where we've got both bright daylight outside and we've got this shaded area over here. So what we're going to look at is how much the camera is changing its exposure, and also what happens if you shoot in manual mode as well. So let's have a look at this. So first of all, just to see, it's a pretty plain overcast day outside. I've got it in aperture mode. And at the back we've got it so it's just in normal taking a photo. And do you know what? I am going to close the eyepiece hole as well, because that can potentially mean some light goes in. And let's just have a little check if it has any effect. So if we go from 60, let's close it. It's still 60, 80, 60, 80. It's only changing a tiny little amount. So that's of no consequence. Yep, nothing, no change. So the eyepiece is not a factor of this, but we'll keep that closed anyway. Now, if we're at 60th of a second, f5.6, ISO 640, if I then click to live view, let's just see this, we'll notice it's not changing brightness outside, boom. Suddenly we're up to 160th of a second, so we're going for a full stop, a full one stop terms of extra brightness or exposure change that we're doing. So it's making the image darker. So some people are saying maybe it's to do with where this bit is pointed. However, does it have an effect? People are saying, well, when it's in live view, it's all about where the dot is. So if we were to, let's say, bring that dot over to a dark area for some reason, yeah, so it changes that. However, we're still at 125th of a second, and that's in the darkest area right over here. So let's say we change it from that to spot metering. Should that have any effect? Oh yes, it does. So now we're almost at 80th of a second. Let's just turn it off again. What do we get spot metering? 60th of a second. So we're pretty much close to that now. But so that seems like, but there is still a difference whenever we're changing it there. And that's it, spot metering off the very edge there. If we bring it back to matrix metering, we're at 100th of a second. And if we need the focus to be in the middle, as it should be, and we're still in matrix metering, we're getting 160th. And if we go to center weighted, 200th, and if we go to spot, 160th. So that just doesn't seem to really make a huge amount of sense going on there, considering that's right in the middle, should be half dark, half bright. It should have been, the spot metering should have probably been the brightest. So that goes to the first idea of possibly it's different metering when, or it's different metering exposures when you're different in live view compared to through the eyepiece. So that is, yeah, something is different, but what I don't understand is why this is different, why it is choosing to be a darker exposure going on here. Let's again, say we turn it off. Turn on live view, we're seeing it should be a 60th of a second. If we take a photo there, looking at the histogram, that's where it is there. Turn on live view, take a photo, we're getting 160th of a second. So a different exposure each time. So 60th to 160th of a second. The next thing is, what about if we were just shooting it in manual mode as well? Well, that should be fine. So if we change it from, we'll just turn the screen off. Let's say we want to get it so that the meter here is telling us that we're right in the middle. So we want it to be perfectly normally exposed. So there, 100th of a second, f4.5. If we were then using it in live view, oh, it's now telling us we are overexposed by 1 1/3 stops. So the actual settings haven't changed, but if you're using the meter up at the top, or the indicator up at the top, you will be giving a completely different setting. You would be all the way down to, or up to, 250th of a second instead of where it was. And let's say we have it at 250th of a second, so there, that's saying that should be middle exposure, or central exposure. Turn off live view, and all of a sudden we're underexposed by 1 1/3 stops. And again, some people made some great comments about, well, it's the fact that it's a sensor that's having to meter the image and it's not through the matrix metering which is up in the eyepiece and all that stuff. And like, yeah, okay, I understand it's having to do it from a different place, but why is it giving such a different result? Like here, in this example, 1 1/3 stops difference, which if you're shooting at high ISO, I would say you're really pushing the ability of what that sensor can actually achieve good image quality if you're trying to push it back in post. I've done a couple of videos talking about the image quality of the Nikon D800 at higher ISOs, that if you're out by 1 1/3 stops, this could be a serious issue for you. The only good thing I would say about this is that whenever I am doing the live view, it is underexposing it, which I think the camera can do better in terms of post-processing and pushing the image back to central exposure. But however, this is a flaw. This is seriously wrong. It's either the light meter inside the camera is wrong, or the live view sensor metering is wrong. Either way, it's not right. And when a photo can all depend on whether you're getting everything within the exposure meter, if you've got high contrast kind of shot and all of a sudden you're a whole 1 and a bit stops below or 1 and a bit stops too high, that can definitely be what can make or break an image. So this is more kind of a word of warning for everyone that's using the Nikon D800 or any, it seems like any Nikon D cameras at the moment, that there is a potential significant difference between the exposure settings that you get, or the exposure reading indication that you get when you go from live view to non-live view, looking through the normal eyepiece. And what I'd also say is that I would say, again, it's something which doesn't happen with the Canon 5D Mark II. So it's not like it should be a technology problem, because Canon can easily do it no problem. I'll show you the example here. So here I've got the Canon 5D Mark II looking at the same scene as the Nikon there. And as if I were to do the exposure meter reading, we've got it right in the center, no problem, all good. If I then turn on live view, it's obviously nothing's changed because I've got it in manual setting, but if I do a meter reading, it's still saying the same. So there's no difference in what the Canon sees from live view to non-live view in comparison to what the Nikon was, which is over 1 1/3 stops difference. One last thing is that if you are on my photography channel, you may not know that I've got two other channels. One is my exercise channel, which you can check out, which is Dom Bauer Exercise. I think the actual name is just youtube.com/Dom Bauer. And I've also got another one on this channel, so I've got Dom's Talks. And a lot of that is going to be about me dealing with my first ever newborn baby, little Logan Bauer. Born on the 4th of September, and so I'm learning to be a dad. So it's all my mistakes and all the things which I'm learning which are quite useful. So if you want to see more about little Logan and how he's getting on, check out Dom's Talks. And if you want to see, I've also got Dom's Flights as well. So again, I'm doing a lot of stuff flying my DJI Phantom around the places, and also going through the process of getting the license to do it commercially. So if you want to see how I'm doing that, check out the Dom's Flights channel as well, which I should put all the links to down below. So thanks for watching, bye bye.